Are you getting up in the middle of the night once again? That weak stream and the feeling that your bladder never fully empties have become your constant companions? If you're a man over 50, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Benign prostatic hyperplasia, or simply an enlarged prostate, isn't just an annoyance, it's a thief of quality of life, sleep, and peace of mind. Millions of men face this in silence, often resorting to solutions that promise much and deliver little. But what if I told you there's a key piece to this puzzle, a powerful vitamin that modern science is beginning to understand as a crucial ally for your prostate health? What if the truth no one is telling you is that the answer might be more accessible than you think, not in a magic pill, but in a nutrient that our own bodies were designed to produce? In the next few minutes, we're going to uncover that truth. This isn't about a miraculous cure, but rather solid scientific knowledge that can give you more control over your health. If you're ready to understand how your body works and discover evidence-based practical advice for life after 50, then you're in the right place. And if this type of content is important to you, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss any information that can make a difference on your wellness journey. What we're about to reveal might just change the way you see prostate health forever. When we talk about prostate health, the conversation often revolves around familiar names like lycopene from tomatoes or saw palmetto. They are valuable compounds, no doubt, but this fixation on just a few elements ends up overshadowing one of the most potent regulators of our body's biology. The truth that often goes untold is that an excessive focus on exotic solutions makes us forget the basics, the fundamentals. That's why today we're going to talk about vitamin D. Yes, the sunshine vitamin. Many associate it only with bone health, but that's an extremely limited view of its power. Science has discovered that vitamin D functions much more like a steroid hormone than a simple vitamin. It has the ability to influence the expression of hundreds of genes in our body, acting as a sort of conductor that regulates vital processes, from our immunity to the multiplication of our cells. This is precisely why it's so relevant to the issue of an enlarged prostate. Benign prostatic hyperplasia is, in essence, a problem of uncontrolled cell growth. And if there's a nutrient that holds the key to helping regulate this growth, it's vitamin D. It's not just an adjuvant, it's a protagonist that has been left out of the main script for a long time. Understanding its role as a powerful regulatory hormone is the first step to comprehending why its deficiency, so common in the population over 50, may be silently contributing to the symptoms that so profoundly affect your life. The question, then, isn't just knowing that vitamin D is important, but understanding the precise mechanism by which it exerts its influence directly on prostate tissue. How exactly does this vitamin hormone manage to send a signal to prostate cells to calm down and stop multiplying excessively? To understand how vitamin D can help reduce prostate growth, we first need to visualize what happens inside it at a cellular level. Imagine your prostate as a garden. In a healthy garden, plants grow, bloom, and eventually are replaced by new ones in a balanced cycle. Benign prostatic hyperplasia is like a garden where growth has gone out of control. Cells start multiplying faster than normal and, crucially, they forget to die at the right time, a biological process called apoptosis, or programmed cell death. This imbalance between proliferation and apoptosis leads to an increase in tissue volume, which presses on the urethra and causes all the symptoms we know. Now, where does vitamin D fit into this story? Science has discovered something fascinating. Prostate cells, both healthy ones and those undergoing hyperplasia, have small specific receptors for vitamin D on their surface, known by the acronym VDR. Think of these receptors as locks. The active form of vitamin D, called calcitriol, acts as the perfect key for these locks. When vitamin D binds to these receptors on prostate cells, it triggers a cascade of events within the cell. One of the primary instructions this key activates is to slow down the cell division cycle. It essentially sends a signal that says, "Hey, let's take it easy, no need to multiply so quickly." At the same time, it also helps reactivate the genes responsible for apoptosis, reminding older cells that it's time to exit the stage to make way for new cells in an orderly fashion. Therefore, vitamin D acts on two crucial fronts. It applies the brakes to excessive cell proliferation and, at the same time, accelerates the natural cleaning process of cells that have already served their purpose. This dual mechanism is what makes its role so promising. It's not an external substance forcing an action, but rather the body using its own hormonal signaling system to restore lost balance. And that's just one side of the coin. There's another equally powerful mechanism by which vitamin D protects the prostate, one that involves the invisible fire that might be fueling this disordered growth. In addition to controlling the life cycle of prostate cells, vitamin D performs another vital function. It is a potent modulator of the immune system and an anti-inflammatory agent. Chronic low-grade inflammation is now recognized as one of the main drivers behind many age-related diseases, and benign prostatic hyperplasia is no exception. Think of inflammation as a small fire constantly burning within the prostate tissue. This fire releases chemical substances called inflammatory cytokines, which act like fertilizer for cell growth. They create a hostile and unstable environment that stimulates cells to multiply in a disordered way as a response to this constant stress. Over the years, this silent inflammation significantly contributes to the increase in prostate volume. This is where vitamin D again shows its value. When it binds to its receptors on prostate cells and also on immune cells present in the area, it acts like a firefighter. It issues the order to reduce the production of these inflammatory cytokines, such as interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha. By reducing the intensity of this inflammatory fire, vitamin D helps remove one of the main stimuli for prostate growth. The environment within the gland becomes less reactive and more balanced, which in itself discourages cell proliferation. Therefore, the effect of vitamin D is dual and synergistic. On one hand, it acts directly on prostate cells to slow down their multiplication, and on the other, it calms the surrounding environment by combating the inflammation that fuels the problem. This combination of actions, cell growth regulation and inflammation modulation, forms the scientific basis explaining why maintaining adequate vitamin D levels is so crucial for prostate health, especially after age 50. But, of course, a theory, however elegant, needs to be proven by evidence. What do studies with real people tell us about this connection? The scientific theory is robust, but the question that really matters is, does this translate into real-world results? What does human research show about vitamin D and enlarged prostate? Over the past few years, a growing body of evidence has begun to paint a rather consistent picture. Firstly, we have observational studies. Several large-scale studies have analyzed vitamin D levels in the blood of thousands of men and correlated them with the size of their prostates and the severity of their urinary symptoms. A recurring finding in these studies is that men with lower vitamin D levels tend to have larger prostates and more severe BPH symptoms. This correlation doesn't prove cause and effect, but it's a very strong smoke signal, suggesting that a deficiency in this vitamin may be a significant risk factor for the development or worsening of the condition. But science has gone further. Researchers have conducted clinical trials, where they gave vitamin D supplements to men with BPH and observed the results. A study published in the Canadian Journal of Urology, for example, found that vitamin D supplementation for a few months was able to halt the increase in prostate volume in participants, while the group receiving a placebo continued to show growth. Other smaller studies have shown improvements in urinary symptom scores and urine flow. Now, here's the truth no one tells you. The evidence is promising, but it's not yet considered definitive. Many of these studies were small-scale or short-term. The medical community still awaits large-scale, long-term randomized clinical trials to establish vitamin D supplementation as a standard treatment for BPH. The truth is, vitamin D is not a magic cure that will shrink an enlarged prostate overnight. However, the available evidence strongly suggests it's a powerful tool for prevention and management of the condition, helping to slow its progression and alleviate symptoms over time. If you're seeking honest information and have already talked to others about the subject, how about sharing your experience in the comments? Your journey might help others who are going through the same thing. The next logical step, then, is to know how to ensure you have optimal levels of this nutrient safely and effectively. Knowing the potential of vitamin D, the practical question is, how can we ensure adequate levels to protect our prostate? There are three main pathways: and the ideal is to combine them intelligently. The first and most natural is sun exposure. Our skin is an incredible factory for vitamin D. When ultraviolet B (UVB) rays from the sun hit the skin, they convert a cholesterol precursor into vitamin D3. For most fair-skinned individuals, about 15 to 20 minutes of midday sun exposure with arms and legs uncovered and without sunscreen a few times a week can be enough to produce significant amounts. However, for the population over 50, there are some challenges. First, the skin's ability to produce vitamin D decreases with age. Second, and very importantly, the risk of skin cancer is a real concern. Therefore, sun exposure should be done with great common sense and moderation, avoiding sunburn at all costs. The second pathway is diet. Unfortunately, few foods are naturally rich in vitamin D. The best sources are cold water fatty fish, such as salmon, mackerel, and sardines. Cod liver oil is extremely rich, and smaller amounts are found in egg yolks and some mushrooms. Additionally, many foods today are fortified with vitamin D, such as milk, yogurt, and breakfast cereals. Including these foods in your diet is an excellent strategy, but the truth is that for most people, relying solely on diet to achieve optimal vitamin D levels can be quite difficult, especially if the goal is to reach a therapeutic level for prostate health. This is why the third pathway becomes so relevant and, for many, necessary. We're talking about supplementation, which opens up a new range of possibilities but also demands an even greater level of care and knowledge. Vitamin D supplementation emerges as the most direct and controllable strategy to correct a deficiency and maintain optimal levels. However, this is where professional guidance becomes absolutely indispensable. The phrase, "if a little is good, more is better," definitely does not apply to vitamin D. As a fat-soluble vitamin, the body stores it, and excess can lead to a state of toxicity, with calcium buildup in the blood, hypercalcemia, which can cause problems in the kidneys and other organs. Therefore, the first step before even thinking about buying a supplement is to get a blood test. The test that measures your levels is 25-hydroxyvitamin D. The result of this test will give you and your doctor a clear starting point. It will show if you have a severe deficiency, insufficiency, or if your levels are already adequate. Only based on this result can a safe supplementation plan be drawn up. Vitamin D supplement doses are measured in international units, IU. A common maintenance dose for adults can range from 1,000 to 2,000 IU per day, but in cases of proven deficiency, your doctor may prescribe much higher doses for a limited period to replenish your stores. It is crucial to understand that the ideal dose is individual. It depends on your current levels, your weight, your age, your sun exposure, and even your geographical location. Trying to guess the correct dose on your own is risky and ineffective. Medical follow-up is also important to monitor your levels over time, ensuring that you reach the ideal range, not too low, not dangerously high. The correct approach is to view supplementation not as an isolated act of self-medication, but as part of an integrated and supervised health strategy that considers your health as a whole and not just a single symptom or organ. We've reached the end of our journey today, and it's time to put all the pieces together. We've seen that an enlarged prostate, a common challenge for men over 50, is a complex process driven by uncontrolled cell growth and chronic inflammation. We've uncovered the truth that often goes untold. Vitamin D, acting as a powerful hormone, has robust scientific mechanisms to help combat these two problems. It can slow down the proliferation of prostate cells and calm the inflammation that fuels growth. Scientific evidence, though still developing, is extremely promising and points to the importance of maintaining adequate levels of this nutrient. We've explored safe ways to obtain it through mindful sun exposure, a diet rich in natural sources, and, when necessary, responsible supplementation guided by blood tests and medical follow-up. But it's essential to put this information in the correct context. Vitamin D is not a silver bullet. Prostate health is multifactorial. It should be part of a holistic approach that includes an anti-inflammatory diet rich in vegetables and healthy fats, regular physical exercise, maintaining a healthy weight, and stress reduction. With that, we arrive at the most important point of our entire conversation. The information we've shared here is powerful, but it's meant to educate and empower you to have a more informed conversation with your healthcare professional. It does not, under any circumstances, replace a medical consultation. Before starting any supplement or making any significant lifestyle changes, talk to your doctor or urologist. They know your health history and can provide the personalized and safe guidance you need. If this video has brought you clarity and valuable information, please share it with a friend or family member who could also benefit. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more science-based content designed for your health and well-being. Taking care of yourself is the best investment you can make.